All of merit to the foundation of the music, to all the godfathers who set it.
50 years and 9 days ago signaled the start of a phenomenal movement. 50 years ago, on August 11, in the Bronx, 1520 Sedgwick Avenue to be exact, a party was held, and that party was hosted by Cindy Campbell and her brother Clive Campbell, who is better known as Kool Herc. This party signaled the birth of hip-hop, the 50th anniversary of which we're celebrating today. And I have the great fortune and privilege of having online Cindy Campbell, one half of that brother and sister duo that gave rise to this great and popular music form that is celebrating 50 years. And what is even more significant, for me at least, is the fact that both Cindy and Clive are Jamaicans. And they have never been bashful about talking about their roots. They have always been very proud of being Jamaicans. But unfortunately, Jamaica has not taken sufficient claim for the fact that the creators, the originators of hip-hop are Jamaicans. But this is something I've been talking about for maybe the last 20 years or more, that we have overlooked a very important historical fact, that hip-hop has Jamaican roots. And so today we're going to be looking at 50 years of hip-hop, and we'll be talking with Cindy, and we'll also be talking with Rob Kenner later on. You know, Rob is an author, has been an editor of the important hip-hop publication Vibe magazine. And Rob is also the author of the book, The Marathon Don't Stop, The Life and Time of Nipsey Hussle. So we'll be talking with Rob because he has some insights on the development and the growth of hip-hop through the years. So this program is really geared at talking about this important genre, or this important cultural phenomenon, because hip-hop has moved beyond just music. It is a culture. It has spawned so many different things and has created so many billionaires and millionaires. Yes, and to think all of that was spawned by two Jamaican teenagers, Clive and Cindy Campbell. Musically speaking, it is today Clyde Mckenzie here, and Jeff Brown, we call him JB for short, he's here. And Abiana Williams, we call her Abby for short, she is also a part of this show. And we're talking hip-hop. And what a good place to begin, but with one of the foundation songs of hip hop. Many people call this the first hip hop hit. We're talking about Rapper's Delight. Wow. This was from the year 1979. Sugar Hill Gang, Rapper's Delight. Now, you know, the funny thing is that we trace the start of hip hop to 1973 and that party in the recreational room at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue. But what was happening is that most of the MCs, they didn't want to record music. They were more interested in doing the improvisational stuff, you know, so they didn't want to really go on wax or on vinyl. And that's why there is that lag. I mean, of course, this is not the first recorded hip hop song, but it is really the first to make it into the charts. And that was a very important outcome, you know, because it really established hip hop as a musical genre in a real sense. But we want to go to that party back in August of 1973. And online we have Cindy Campbell, one half of that team that was hosting that party. Cindy, you're there.
I'm here, Clyde. How are you?
Great to hear you. Great to hear you as always. Now,
thank you. You too.
Now, I just want to go back to that party on the 11th of August, 1973. Tell me, what was the preparation like and what was the expectation of that party?
Well, the preparation, I tell you, was it was an amazing preparation when I look back at it to see how I organized it and how it started from renting the room for $25 and, you know, also choosing the place, also organizing it where my brother Kool Herc would play the music, organizing it, how do I keep the people at the party not to leave, because where we are, it's no stores or anything around. Very, very difficult to get to. How do I keep the people there? Because once they leave, they're not coming back. So the thing is, I got to have some food there and beverages for people to drink. So, of course, we had the kitchen for that. And I told my mother she's going to be in the kitchen because people are not going to try to get anything free from Miss Campbell, and she's there to oversee the party also. So asked my father to take me to get beverages wholesale, hot dogs wholesale, the hot dog buns, you know, the ketchup, the mustard, everything I'm getting wholesale because I'm trying to cut my costs because I'm thinking about making some money for back to school shopping. And, you know, we had the bathrooms for the boys and the girls. And then we charged 25 cents for ladies and 50 cents for the fellas because I couldn't charge too much. Nobody's going to come. So I just made it where you can get in and, you know, as teenagers, having 25 cents or 50 cents, you needed really like $1 to enjoy yourself that night because you're going to buy your hot dog for 25 cents all and your soda. And then we also had beer, Old English 800 and Colt 45. And that's what established, you know, Old English 800 as a hip-hop drink. And then also, you remember our parents, my dad and his friends and all the other parents from the building, it was a night out for them on Saturday. So they were there in the hallway chaperoning. So they had their little beer and things to drink, too. And when kids walked in the lobby, they had to say, "Good night, Mr. Campbell," walked in. So, you know, we weren't there just loosely on our own. It was a family thing. And that's what established hip-hop even today. It's planted and it's rooted. It's a family affair. Because, you know, in Jamaica, when we do things, the kids are there, too, and the parents are there. The kids might go off on one side and the parents on one side, but we never leave out the family. They come along, you know? So that's the same kind of thought process. We bring it from Jamaica bringing here. You know, when we came here, we used to into America. We had the little house parties that we would go to our parents, and the kids were over there, and parents said, no, there wasn't nothing about babysitting or anything. Your kids came along. So that was the idea with the party also. It was a family. It was a family affair.
So,
but it was amazing just to put the whole thing together, because I didn't want my party to be, as they would say, whack. I wanted people to talk about my party, to say my party was the best. And I accomplished that, you know, and to see Yankee Stadium packed with a continuation of the party from August 11th. It was a dream come true, because I accomplished what I did. And you know something? Also, Yankee Stadium, peaceful, Clyde, no problem, nothing. And the concert went on until 2 o'clock in the morning. Amazing.
Isn't that surreal? Now,
it was surreal. It was, people are still, it's epic. People are still talking about it. People keep saying it was so surreal. It's so surreal being in that environment. And I remember we were talking, Clyde, and you said, Cindy, and I said, you only can capture 50 years once. One time, that's it. You know, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Once you eat the cake, it's gone. So this 50 years, if nobody, whoever didn't get in to be there, they cannot capture that feeling. That feeling was just on a different level from the feeling of August 11th. So when you say to me, how was August 11th? If you were at Yankee Stadium for that 50th event, that's the same experience.
Just a pause, because I mean I'm getting goosebumps. Let me just pause for a second, Cindy. I'm going to take a break
Sure.
and come right back to you. Musically speaking.
Okay.
All of merit to the foundation of the music, to all the godfathers who set it.
This is a special, musically speaking, looking at 50 years of hip-hop. And we have the special privilege of having the first lady of hip-hop, Cindy Campbell. She is online with us today. Remember, what we're celebrating is that party in the Bronx, which was hosted by her and her brother, Kool Herc, and that changed the course of popular music and popular culture forever. 50 years ago, that's what happened. So, we're talking to a history maker here. This is special. Cindy, you're there.
I'm here. I didn't leave.
Right? Now, could you have imagined at that block party in the Bronx, Sedgwick Avenue, could you have imagined that what you were putting in motion would result in something as gigantic as this? Could you, in your wildest imagination, have imagined that?
But I knew it was going to turn into something, but you're right. I could not imagine how gigantic it was going to turn out to be. And that's a blessing, you know, that's a blessing. And it's guidance to get us to this point. You know, it's been a journey, and the journey took us here, and we're here to be able to receive it and share it with the world. And so I could not have imagined how it would have been, but I'm thankful that it turned out the way it did. And it's a culture for us, you know, it's a culture for we as a people to be proud of, to say we are part of that extension. And they can't take it away from us now at this point. Nobody can claim it.
You can't take that away from me.
Now, we can claim it, you know. Jamaica can claim it.
Jamaica,
you know,
that's the important part of it. No, I mean, the fact is we still have to concede it was created in America by Jamaicans. But the fact is, we must celebrate the Jamaican roots of it. This thing, exactly. as Herc reminds me, and you always remind me, that you people were influenced by what you grew up and saw in Jamaica before you left for the United States. And what you did
Absolutely,
was you
absolutely.
transplanted what you had experienced from Franklin Town and all the other places where you lived in Jamaica. And
Yes.
that is what resulted in this phenomenal form that we call hip hop.
Yes, yes, yes. We took all that influence, the toasting, the sound system, the way you give the party. When you give party in Jamaica, you have to have food there.
Food and
You
drinks,
have to have
yes.
food. You have to. So we did that. We made sure that happened. As far as you have to give out your little invitation and invite people. That's why I did it on the index card.
I saw a copy of that invitation.
Yes.
And it's a work of art.
That's from Jamaica. Yeah, that's it. We did all of that.
You took all of these customs from Jamaica and you customized them for the United States, and the rest is history.
History.
Tell me something, because there is a story, and I want you to confirm or rebut it, that what was happening is that the Bronx was a little tense during the time that you had that party. Things weren't so cool in the Bronx at that time, but that this party and subsequent hip hop events really helped to cool things down in the area. Was that true?
That's very true. You have to remember, at that time, New York City was practically bankrupt. The Bronx was burning. You had gangs that was, going on. As a matter of fact, Vietnam War was still going on. The war that wasn't ended. People were protesting. So you had a lot of things, going on at that time. And people were afraid to go out anymore. People used to they used to have basement parties, which, in the church, or people used to have party in their house. And the gangs at that time were very, very, their presence. So people couldn't go out and feel comfortable. So when we gave our party, that did away really with the gangs and people's frame of mind to change. Like I can feel safe here when I come to the party. I can dress in my sneakers and my jeans, and I can feel nice, and I can meet a girl, I can meet a guy. Our parents were there. We didn't need any security guard. People felt safe. And now when they saw that what was going on with the music, the teenagers, our friends, started getting their little neighborhood reputation as being a b-boy dancer or being I can be an MC, I can be a DJ like her, These things started taking effect on the mental state of mind of teenagers growing up. So that changed a lot of things, You're right about it. So the Bronx was very tense, but with what we did, it changed it. It changed it.
And the reason I raise this point is that quite often hip hop is stigmatized and is blamed for promoting violence, just as dancehall sometimes. And the reason I raised that point was that here was hip hop contributing to the decline in crime in the Bronx.
Yes.
And that's so important. And in terms of the narrative, because sometimes people have these narratives about different music forms and genres. And here it was that hip hop was a major contributor to the decline in the crime rate in the Bronx and surrounding area during that time, because everybody wanted to dance and everybody was ready to party and so on. So that party, Cindy, that was profitable. You made some money from that.
Yeah, I made some change from it. But you know what we did with the money? Yes, I did back to school shopping. Money got divvied up, and then my father, he saw the potential of it also. So he just he's a visionary himself, you know, and I thank God I got my blessing from him and my mother, and we continued it, and we just didn't give the party to make money. We gave it when people ask us, when is the next party? When are you going to do the next party? That's how we did it. Because you remember, we were in school. We had to concentrate on our schoolwork also. And having, you know, strict Jamaican parents. The reason why we came to America was for your one of the things is education. So you better make sure you had your schoolwork and everything done right. But you know, it came out in the best way that it did, in the form.
Now, I want to talk to you about preservation because that's very important. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about 1520 Sedgwick and what has happened there in terms of preservation and how we have managed to guard and curate the legacy of hip hop and the role you have been playing, because you have been playing a significant role in ensuring that the history and the legacy of hip hop is really maintained.
Yes, that's what I'm doing. My brother, he's more the entertainer, you know, the social butterfly and all of that. I like to fly below the radar.
Let's take a break and come right back, Cindy. Cindy Campbell. Musically speaking, this is special. Today we have the First Lady of Hip Hop, Cindy Campbell. Yes, she and her brother started this whole movement we call hip hop, which we are celebrating 50 years of its existence. And what is more, Cindy and her brother Clyde, who we call Kool Herc, are Jamaicans and very proud of it. So we have to give credit to those Jamaicans who have moved into the diaspora and have distinguished themselves. So many of them have done so well and have helped Jamaica. Well, this brother and sister, they really have ensured that the name Jamaica will forever be called when you speak of this great music form we call hip hop. And you know, so many Jamaicans have associated with hip hop artists, and you know, you have those who have done the hybrid stuff. One of them is Shined, and we're going to pay tribute to Jamaicans who are in New York. One of them happens to be Cindy Campbell, Jamaican in New York.
Yo, oi man.
Shinehead. And I'm talking to a Jamaican in New York who has certainly made a difference. Talking about Cindy Campbell. Yes, she and her brother have changed the course of popular music forever by the creation of hip hop. And we're talking about the preservation of legacy. Now, the building at 1520, it was slated for demolition at one point, but you managed to get it out of that kind of arrangement. Is that correct, Cindy?
That is correct. Well, it wasn't slated for demolition, Clyde, but it was slated with a lot of developers. They call them land shark developers, wanted that building. It's a very special building in the way it was built and where it's located. It's actually, you know, water view property. You can see the Hudson River from there, and the foliage in the fall is so beautiful. But the thing is, when New York City was burning and in bankrupt, and the developers built these houses, they fell under the Mitchell-Lama housing, supposed to be affordable housing, and the city gave them a tax break for 30 years that the building would stay affordable. That's one of the reasons why we were able to move into that building. And after 30 years, it fell out of it, so it was open for developers to want to get their hands on it, and what they wanted to do was get the tenants, affordable tenants, out of the building so they can get it. But we prevented that from happening. We got a call from one of the original tenants in the building, Ms. Jenkins, because we didn't really know what was going on. And she told us, if we're aware of it, they want to put us out of the building. And they were trying everything, and they exhaust every reason to do it. But when she mentioned to them, the committee from the city, that Herc and his sister and the Campbell family lived in this building and gave that party in the recreation room, and that's considered the birthplace of hip-hop at that time. But we didn't have any established thing to say it was, but word of mouth, everybody knew that. And they said, we can use that to prevent it. And they started the process to get it to be landmarked eligibility, to get it, to get them to hold off. And it took us 3 years, and we fought for 3 years. Senator Chuck Schumer, Senator Serrano, they all stepped in to help. And so, wait a minute, this is an immigrant story. This is affordable housing. We need to preserve this. And we did it. We got it done. And from there, we got it to be named Hip Hop Boulevard. Mayor de Blasio helped us on that. So these are things to us and to me that's very important when I look as a visionary, what you need to secure. These are things that cannot go away. One of the things I started with when Harry Belafonte got, bless his soul, he was a visionary himself, and he knew that this thing hip-hop was going on with black youth, black teenagers, and he capitalized on it. He said, you know what? The world needs to know this. So he did the first Hollywood movie about hip-hop, which was Beat Street. Mm-hmm. And my brother is in that, and he played himself. And I negotiated that movie contract with Harry and David Picker, who was the co-producer of a very famous Midnight Cowboy movie, and Stan Layton now, at the time, he's a very up-and-coming black director, and Harry wanted him to be on board. Harry's amazing, oh my God. So when that was very important. That was another part of the journey, Clyde, to secure the legacy. So these are things that you do on your journey to secure it, and it cannot be taken away from you.
Yeah, because
now Herc is being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he's the third Jamaican.
Right.
To be inducted into the Rock and
Bob
Roll
Marley and
Hall
Jimmy
of
Cliff.
Fame.
Right. After Bob and Jimmy, yes.
Yes, this our little island is just amazing. We have been blessed. That island is a blessed island. Some countries don't even have one.
That's
correct.
We have
3.
That's correct. But the thing is, what you're describing there is just a part of what is and has been done for the preservation of the legacy, because you've had auctions and you've done all of these things. Yes. And
let me talk about the auction. We did that. A lot of people came to us. That auction, whenever I do anything, it's strategically done. I walk it through. And it's a gift that I have. I can't explain it, but I can see the outcome. So when a lot of people came to us, but we chose Christie's. I go by my feeling and the blessing and the teamwork. Everything just fit. It fit. So I said, okay, let's do this. We were going to do the auction this year, but we decided, no, we don't want to take away from the auction. So we did it last year. And the auction that we did with them, it was called Christie's Presents DJ Kool Herc and the Birth of Hip Hop. Kool Herc, the founder of hip hop. So Christie's is a very huge, well-known auction house, not only in New York, throughout the world. And we had 200 items, and it took me a year to put all that stuff together. Did it, and we looked through everything, and it's a go. And the reason behind that is people were saying, "Oh, you need to hold on to this. You need to." Well, hold on to it for what? Now, as part of the legacy to secure it, there are like 200 people out there that have
a piece of hip hop.
A piece of hip hop. All right? So that's my thought process. And we did it where things went from hundreds of thousands to maybe $100. So we wanted to make it that the regular person, if they wanted to buy a hat, a necklace or something, they could buy it to have a piece of it. So I'm not selfish enough to do it like that. I did it where everybody could get something. You know, let's all get in there and have some fun. It ain't no fun until we all get some. You know.
And what about the hip hop museum?
Well, the hip hop museum, that's a different process. That's a different entity. Other people are doing that, and that's the thing about it, Clyde, is that sometimes people can't see where the vision is supposed to be. You know, you cannot attach yourself to everything. I like to stay in my lane. The museum is going to be there for everybody. My thing is too, I want to do a Cool Herc museum. You know, our museum. That's going to be there. So you cannot be involved. You can't be involved with everything. You just can't.
Yes.
Cannot be involved with anything. So the museum, that's another idea and project from somebody else, and that's their idea.
Right.
You know, and I love the idea. We have a hip hop museum in the Bronx. That's fantastic. You know, for instance, people kept telling me from the 40, 50 years is coming, Cindy. What are you guys going to do? What are you doing? But you cannot do everything. And we love the way this turned out, where everybody was able to do something on their own.
Yeah.
So every media, radio station, borough, the Bronx did something, the Queens did something, Brooklyn, Staten Island. So it wouldn't have been the same impact if we just did something. For us, Yankee Stadium was it. That was big thing, Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, you sent some stuff from the Yankee Stadium to me, Cindy, and it was just they were just beautiful. You know,
you let somebody else enjoy something else too, you know, and not everybody could have made it to Yankee Stadium. Some people couldn't. Some people went the next day down to 1520 Cedric Avenue. They organized something down there. So that's the beauty of hip hop. We never try to hold on to it, Clyde. We never when hip hop started rising up in Brooklyn, we didn't go to Brooklyn to say, "Oh, we're from the Bronx. Hip hop is here." No.
Yeah, no, you weren't territorial at all.
No.
And November is being declared as Hip Hop Month. I think I heard somebody told.
Right. That's it. That's another thing I did. To secure the legacy of hip hop. I made it August 11th, and Congress signed the paper for the resolution, officially Hip Hop Celebration Day. Then you have the whole month of August is Hip Hop Recognition Month. Then you move down into September, Hip Hop History Month, and August I advocate for that to be for the month, because that's when families are out of school, you're on vacation, the weather is great. You know, they gave us this Black History Month in February here in America, but it's like something they just give it to them.
Arbitrarily,
it's the shortest month of the year. It's the coldest month of the year. You know, kids are still in school. You can't plan any event. Sometimes you can't plan any outdoor event. And if you do plan an event, sometimes the weather might take a part where you can't do it. So for us as a race of people, the summer is a month for us, you know, August. So that was my thing. to push for that. I just didn't push for August 11th to be the celebration day. I pushed for the whole month. And we have Leroy McCarthy. He works with us. He's wonderful on our team. And he's the one that gets these things done. He gets it in motion. You know, he got the street name for Biggie. All these things that's happening in Brooklyn with Biggie, Leroy McCarthy's doing that. Biggie also.
Another man
Jamaican
with
roots.
Jamaica. He has Jamaican connections, strong Jamaican
Yes.
connections.
Right,
Used-
the Leroy. I choose people that's going to fit into the team and work with it and allow them to be an individual person to the speak. Because sometimes they'll come to me and he might say, Cindy, you know, I don't think that sounds right. And I said, you know what, you're right. Right is right, wrong is wrong. Like sometimes I'm just don't want to be the boss. It's okay, I'm the boss, and this is how it's gonna go. No, just like when I deal with you and we've been talking about this together. We wanted to do the event around this time, but then you said, you know something, Cindy, this is not going to work. It's too much going on. Let's move it down your event that you're doing to later. And I said, Clyde, that's a right move. That's a good move. And you know, when we did it, that's teamwork.
Yes. So the thing is, one of the things I don't think we want to go into too much details yet, but
Right.
one of the things is that hip hop will be celebrated in a big way in Jamaica come the end of the
Hey,
year.
no, you said that. You said that.
So that's gonna be big. And the thing is, it's almost as if hip hop is coming home to Jamaica. That isn't that fabulous?
It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
So just talking about just looking at some of the things, because the Yankee Stadium thing was really big, and there was a series of stuff that was happening in New York and the surrounding areas, and in November, Cool will be inducted. The Jamaican government, they conferred the Order of Distinction, and there's quite a few things that are happening.
Right.
Are you happy with all that you have seen as far as the commemoration of this important event, the birth of hip hop? Are you really satisfied, Cindy, with what you have seen emerge?
Yes. I am. I have to say I'm pleased. I'm pleased with all the people that we worked with. I'm pleased with the Yankee Stadium event, Mass Appeal on Live Nation, the people at Yankee Stadium, the Bronx, all the Bronx elective and official, everybody, even to the everybody who bought a ticket and came there. I'm pleased with everything. I'm pleased the way it came out. You know, people can go to YouTube and see it for free. Hip Hop 50 Live.
Let me take a quick break, Cindy, because we have to talk a little bit more about this. Musically speaking. Musically speaking, a special one today. Yes, we have a pioneer online, one who has definitely left her mark on modern popular culture. She and her brother, Clyde, yes, they are the people we're celebrating this year, 50 years, and their party at 1520 Sedgwick. Yes, where they lived, the rec room, that's where they had a party that changed modern popular culture forever. And guess what? They're Jamaicans. So important. And I don't think we have done enough as Jamaicans to lay claim to the fact that Clive and Cindy Campbell are Jamaican. I think that's changing, and that's good. But, you know, for years, I don't think we really acknowledged that link between Jamaica and hip hop. And it happens to other forms of our cultural products. So even ska, right now, most people don't know that ska is a music form that originated from Jamaica, because most of the ska bands across the world are not Jamaican. And we're seeing what is happening with reggae, and it's not a bad thing when other people really adopt what you're doing. It can be flattering. People are paying attention to what you're doing, but you need to establish some kind of relationship with the creation of that particular form or genre, because that has commercial and financial implications. So when you can say that the originators of hip hop are Jamaican, then you are staking some claim there to saying, well, Jamaica is really a cultural mecca, because it's not that these people were just Jamaicans who were transplanted to the United States. They used Jamaican customs. I mean, the way Jamaican music is played, the way a Jamaican party is staged, and all of that. And they introduced that to the United States. And we must salute Clive and Cindy Campbell and their parents for what they have done in terms of making sure that we as Jamaicans have had a finger or a hand in this important musical development. Cindy. Yes. So
I'm here.
So we're talking about preservation, and you gave me some examples, and there are films afoot, and books and all of this that are there to celebrate this 50th anniversary. You want to say anything about that, or can you say anything about any of those?
What do you mean books?
Are there books and all of those things that people might be writing? I mean, well, there have been a number of books about hip hop, but is there?
Right, exactly. But that's another thing too. Being public figures, people can write a book about you now. They can without your consent.
Without your consent, yes.
Right, when you become a public figure, so you can go after people like that, and they pretty much get information from the internet or speaking to other people. Or the book is not solely on you, so they can put you in their book. And if there's pictures that they have of their own, have gotten from somebody else, they can put in the book. So sometimes you can go after everybody. Sometimes it's free marketing for you. It's free publicity that you're getting right there. You just can't go after everybody, especially with the 50th anniversary. It gave the small man opportunity to make up T-shirts and hats without names and image and things on it. We can't go after them, I mean,
yes.
Everybody's getting an opportunity to make something. We're not going to go out, but if a big company like a Nike or Adidas or a big establishment,
yes, then you'll have to go after them.
It's a different story.
Yes.
But we don't go after the little small man that's going to make something. I'm pleased that he can make something off it, and feed his family, feed himself. He's not out there stealing. He's just trying to make a living.
We've been joined by Rob Kenna. Now, Rob has been associated as editor with Vibe magazine, that very important publication as it relates to hip hop and music. Rob, are you there? We have Cindy online here, Rob.
Yes, I am, Clyde. How's it going? And greetings, Cindy.
Great.
Oh, greetings, Rob. How long you been with Vibes?
I was there from day one, as a matter of fact.
So all right. So you know, Keith Kingsdale.
Yeah, of course. Keith was the
Jamal
publisher back then. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So you've been there for a while.
and I was there at Gracie Mansion last week when you and your brother were being honored by the mayor of New York. That was a really special morning.
Wasn't it? Oh my God, that's really special. You know, because we had to be there. We were up from 5 o'clock in the morning. The car picked us up at 7 to be there, and then at Yankee Stadium we didn't get home till 4 o'clock in the morning that whole day for us. So I said to my brother, you know something? We've been up 24 hours. Then my voice started going. But
it's
it was
just
a celebration.
adrenaline, right?
Right, you're in the moment, and you don't even realize it. I didn't know the concert at Yankee Stadium, Rob, was going to go until 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, my God. Everybody wanted to be. There were people flying in from all over the world to be present for that show. That was history right there.
Rob, go ahead, Cindy.
No, people you're right, I had friends and from Luxembourg who flew in. I mean, Italy. They were unbelievable. Brazil, it's unbelievable.
Absolutely. It's a special feeling. And, you know, there's that saying of giving people their flowers while they're here to enjoy them. And it really was a beautiful sight to see you and your brother a half a century, not to trip off of, time, but half a century.
That's a long time. That's a long time, Rob.
I know. How many people are around to see that celebration? You know who was there too? DJ Cassidy. I had to, give DJ Cassidy was there. I love when he did that connection thing, Pastor Mike, with the reggae version of Jamaica.
Yep.
And I'm happy. That was my first time meeting him, and I was able to tell him how much I loved it and how much I appreciate it and what he did, for the reggae connection with the passing the mic thing. So it was like Clyde said, it was very surreal to be in that moment.
Oh my God! And Clyde, if I may, I just want to remind Cindy of a conversation that we had. There was another one of these, digital conversations with Jeff Chang, Davey D, you and your brother, and I joined that great distinguished company, and we had a talk about that sound system that was being played on that first party, your back to school jam. And the thing that I loved about that conversation was that sound system. Is it true that you said it belonged to your dad? It was your dad's sound, right?
Yeah, because that's, because my father, him and his friends, on the weekends after working, they would do little gigs and things like that. So my father was Keith Campbell. He was musically inclined in that sense. Now, he's the one who introduced us to music and playing, all the songs, And he played all kind of songs. Nat King Cole was his man. He played Ella Fitzgerald. He played Perry Como. In Jamaica, we play all kind of music.
Yeah, we play all kind of music in Jamaica. Yes.
That's it.
Country music. Skeeter Davis and those people are big here, Charlie Pride and that kind of thing. It's big here, I mean,
but that's what we grew up in Jamaica. We grew up in Jamaica and that with the music. So when we came here, we listened to all kind of music on the radio. So, but like you're saying, the sound, the columns, that column sound system, right? That's what we had, the column sound system. We had that, down at in the little recreation room. Yeah, and it was so powerful that when Herc. You couldn't see her and the turntables that were set up. Him, Cochla Rock and Timmy Tim and Mike and these guys. But the columns were outside. But since the room was so small, you had to turn the columns face in from the floor where people were dancing. It was so powerful, But that sound system, the columns.
That one detail alone says so much because, obviously you and your brother were playing your own style of music in your own way. but this was a tradition. This was a family legacy that goes all the way from Jamaica to the Bronx. And it's not something that just popped up one day in New York City. You know, this is a culture.
It's evolutionary. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. It's like my father was good friends with Sir Coxsone and Sir Coxsone's brother, Jim. So we're coming from that line of music, you know, and we knew all about that, the sound system. You know, we grew up on those things. We saw it.
Yep. And you know, it's, as I mentioned, it's a reason for everyone in Jamaica who has something to do with this sound system culture and this reggae and dancehall culture that's spread all over the world to be proud that you and your brother really sparked this musical revolution using that Jamaican culture and turned it into something even bigger and even more universal, I should say. So it's a really special time, and you know, I'm still vibrating off of the celebrations that happened here in New York.
You were at Yankee Stadium, I take it, Rob.
I hit every borough that weekend. You know, there was
everybody was doing something.
You had to be at all the parties.
The beauty of it.
Yeah,
that was the beauty and the fun things about it. You know, people were able to move around. You know, I want to tell you also, Clyde, when you're talking about bringing things here, what we have done, like you're saying, change it. Even the economy of people buying. People now wasn't buying two turntables. They were buying one turntable. They were buying two. People are buying more records now. It's just the economy from, you know, that the industry made from music. Even when Herc used to extend the beats from the grooves in the records, you know, at one time they came out with 12-inch records. They were just extension of the beats, you know. So. It
spawned its own economy and its own ecosystem, and that's very important because people don't even sometimes make the connection of how important hip hop was in influencing fashion, and people like Dapper Dan and Dapper Dan and these people, and how they did their thing, and how so many things came off the back of this movement that you both spawned, you know?
Yes.
And Rob, you know, you were going to say something, Rob.
Oh, just because you mentioned fashion, I wanted to also ask Cindy, is it correct? I seem to remember from our last conversation that a big part of your motivation to even throw this back to school jam was to go shopping to get some fresh gears for school, right? You were charging like you were charging like a quarter at the door and selling the hot dogs, and it adds up, and you can go hit Delancey Street and buy some fresh back to school.
But I don't want to go, you know, raising 6 kids. I didn't want to go to Alexander's on Fordham Road, and then my mom go to the sales rack and get something off the sales rack. You know, you go to school, a lot of people are going to have the same thing, and they know you got it from the sales rack, and they start teasing you and laughing at you. So I had to, you know, being fashion, and also, you know, later on, you know, being a fashion model myself. I did that for years, worked a lot of top designers. But I got my thing was Croquette, and the guys wore Converse. The girls wore the Croquette. So I wanted to get a pair of baby blue Croquettes because, like, nobody had, they started coming out with colors because Croquettes only came in white. But I found out that they was coming out with colors, and I wanted my baby blue Croquettes, you know. I ended up getting it over in Washington Heights at the time at this Army and Navy store. It was a half a size too small, but I didn't care. I got it.
Oh my God. And so you got the shoes. That's the important thing. Like, you know, you created this whole culture, but you also got the shoes.
You got your shoes.
I got my baby blue Croquettes, and then we went down to Delancey Street, you know, my brother and I and friends to get things, you know, take that D train to almost like all the way to Delancey Street. But it was exciting, you know. I want to tell you something. I had a wonderful childhood. I'm happy and pleased. You know, the 50 years has blessed us, has taken us this far. You know, during the journey, like with everybody, life happens during your journey, but our heart was always there with hip hop. You know, we were there. It's 365 days of the year. We are hip hop. You know.
That's it. 100%.
Rob, I was talking to Cindy, and I said, ironically, hip hop has been stigmatized in many instances for the promotion and espousal of violence and misogyny and all these kinds of things. And I was saying to her that one of the things is that the birth of hip hop in the Bronx actually signaled, if I'm correct, and she underscored it, a decline in crime in the Bronx around that period. And I'm saying, it's so ironic that something that has been, stigmatized for the promotion of violence had such a significant impact on the decline of violence and criminal activity in the Bronx.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you look back, there's an amazing film called Rubble Kings, which really documents the way that some of the youth street gangs in the Bronx directly channeled their energy into breakdancing and graffiti and these hip hop park jams. And, it really was a way to turn youths who had very few creative outlets or positive things to do with their time into something creative that, really built this industry. Now, it's also interesting when you mention about the criticism of hip hop. I think of a conversation I had with Supercat, who, as you know, Supercat's Dolly My Baby was one of the first records that Puffy and Biggie got a chance to show their skill and talent. They did a remix of that Supercat song. And Cat told me that there was a time when hip hop acts had a hard time getting booked in certain venues unless there was a reggae artist involved, because reggae was seen as a more like respected and responsible art form, that there wouldn't be problems, in the venue.
Imagine
so,
that.
yeah, it's really been a change over the years. But I think the cultural hip hop that Clive and Cindy represent is a little bit different than the corporate industry version of hip hop now, where you find that people in, big office buildings are sort of manipulating the culture a little bit and sometimes do inject a little more negative influence than needs to be there, and I think we have to separate the hip hop culture from the rap industry, because it's two different things we're talking about. But that pure culture that was born in the Bronx absolutely was a positive impact on everybody that got involved with it, because they weren't out there doing, other things. And Cindy, I think you mentioned that at that park jam, there was parental supervision, right? Your mom or dad, it wasn't just run wild.
Right, there's 8mm footage. It got out there. We did something with the BBC News, and we have the complete footage, but they use a part of it for it. And with the internet, you can't control it, and that's something we can't control. So that's like a gift we've given back to hip hop. But you could see in that video clip in the party in the recreation room, my mother is right there. And the light is on in the kitchen, and she's looking at what's going on. And then everybody would come by, like, "Hi, Miss Campbell. How you doing, Miss Campbell?" Watching, and parents were outside in the lobby when you came in the building. So we felt safe. We knew the gangs weren't going to come in. Then people respected us. It was, our Puerto Rican friends, friends came in. So wasn't just us. It was a race of people that came, our friends that came in.
Yep.
The party.
And if there was any problems, people had to leave, right?
That's right. And then Mr. Campbell, I had a thick Jamaican accent. So when you got him mad, you didn't know what he was saying. Jamaica, when your tongue get hot, my father would start talking, so they, and yeah, they respected. They respected my dad, and they respected us. Respected her. Yeah, because we weren't any gang members, and a lot of people wanted us, especially my brother, to be involved in gangs. But we just didn't. We didn't have to be involved with gangs. Wasn't any need to. Thank God. And we didn't like the way what gangs represented. That's really then violence.
Right, but I would assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, that once the parties moved out of the rec room and into the parks and into the different venues, different people would come through. All types
and
of
some
people
and some of the elements were violent.
No, we never had
my point, I think, is that the hip hop was giving them something more constructive.
Yes. No, and so it's important for us to find channels for the creativity of our youth. I mean,
right.
I think that's one of the central lessons that this whole movement has demonstrated.
Right.
Because what has happened is it has taken kids out of the projects, kids who might have been engaged in illicit activities, and they've made millionaires and billionaires out of them, and have legitimized them, and have made them, moguls. And this is the power of this story. I mean, here it is.
Did. Even Biggie said, when he met Herc, thank God for hip hop, Herc, or else I'd be robbing and stealing. And what gave a lot of these guys, you called it, hustlers, they took their money, the visionary, and they put their money into the studio. Mm-hmm. They were being creative, and they were business people. They would take that money and put into the studio time, where they went in there rapping and making their songs, making their demos and things like that. So they were being constructive.
Mm-hmm. And that's very, very important in terms of understanding the ecosystem that hip hop spawned, because you hear a lot of times the other stories about gangster rap and this and that and all that kind of stuff, but then there is that positive narrative that is there to be seen, and what it has done is truly remarkable. I mean, they
were very good. They were very good business people. Very good. Look at the artists. The new artists. Like Cardi B. I listened to her story, and she said she invested her money in herself.
Mm-hmm.
Good business. She invested her money in herself. She did what she wanted to for herself, and they don't give a lot of the artists that credit as being very good business people. A lot of them, some of them didn't graduate from college, but they have that business sense to put it to work to become millionaire, and then they can do what they want to do with in going and forward in solidifying what they have. But a lot of them now, a lot of the artists, what they're doing now, they're putting the money in themselves. She said she didn't want to be a stripper, but she went that way to get the money that she wanted, and she moved on from that, and she moved on.
Yep. 100%.
She kept reinventing herself, and she's just one of many. You have your Spice, artists in Jamaica, Spice. I share her story, and she reinvented herself, and I love what she have done to herself.
Yes.
I mean, that's just me as a woman. I see that she moved on. Like I said, to some people, life happened, but she didn't. She didn't let that stop her. She moved on. We're all visionaries.
I'm so glad you mentioned Spice, Cindy, because I was just thinking of her when you talked about Cardi B. And Cardi said that Spice was one of her favorite artists when she was growing up in the Bronx. So, it's all that same spirit,
Exactly.
The thing is that the backstories, many times people don't know them. Like what you're just saying, Rob, about Cardi B and Spice.
Mm-hmm.
Many people don't know, for example, how or the story you told earlier about Super Cat, Rob. a lot of times people don't know the influence, for example, that many of these Jamaican acts have on hip hop and American mainstream music. Just going to take a quick break. Come right back. Musically speaking, we'll be right back. Rob and Cindy, we're coming right back to you. Just a quick break. Musically speaking, wow. I tell you, this one is really special. Talking about 50 years of the musical phenomenon we call hip hop. And online we have the first lady of hip hop, Cindy Campbell. Yeah, she was the promoter of that first event which gave rise to hip hop at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue, where they lived, she and her brother Kool Herc. Also online is a man who is intimately bound with the hip hop movement, talking about Rob Kenner, a man who has written the book, The Marathon Don't Stop, The Life and Time of Nipsey Hussle. Yeah, big book, best-selling book. And he has definitely been a lover of this music genre, a lover of Jamaican music, and he has promoted both genres in his own way from his perch at Vibe magazine, where he has been editor. Rob, tell me how you got bitten by this hip hop bug. Tell me where did it happen? Were you from the Bronx? Were you from Brooklyn?
No, not at all. Not at all. I was born in California. My dad was an English professor, and my little sister used to play her LL Cool J tape. That was probably one of the first influences. Shout out to Lisa Kenner. But weirdly enough, at the high school I attended, we had a TV class, like a video production class, and this is in Baltimore, Maryland, growing up in the 80s. And the teacher would go up on weekends to New York and direct rap videos. So one day in the library, he played the Sugar Hill Gang Apache video for us. He's like, you might be interested in this thing I'm working on. It's called hip hop. And man, that just blew my mind. I've never, forgotten that moment of first seeing, if you go on YouTube and watch that video now, you'll understand. I had never seen anything like that. But hip hop and reggae were introduced to me almost at the same moment. And from the time of visiting Jamaica in 1985 for Reggae Sunsplash and hearing, Tiger and Supercat and Half Pint, I fell in love, So my whole life changed at that moment, and hearing the slang ting rhythm and things like that. But also, we would have shows at my college where it would be, the Beastie Boys, Africa Bambaataa, and Yellow Man, So all the cultures were blended for me. Yeah, it was all blended together, and I don't really separate the two. And that's one of the things that I've tried to do in my work as a journalist and an author, is to kind of break down the walls of musical apartheid. We're on a program on a station called The Bridge, right? I'm in New York, you're in Jamaica. Cindy, I assume you're in New York at the moment.
Yes.
And, we talk about the influence of Jamaican music on hip hop. I see it more as a bridge, it's a conversation that goes on. It's not like one thing flowed into the other and it just
right,
moved
and it's
on,
a one-way street. No, and this is very important for us to stress. This is cross-fertilization. So,
Yeah.
I mean, both sides are influencing and impacting each other. And that's the important thing, because, a lot of times we privilege one form over another, and, we say that this is where it's originated and so on and so forth. And it's not as linear and as simple as that in many instances, because, Jamaican music has been influenced by American music. and American music has been influenced by Jamaican music, and the process, it keeps going along. It's not stopping. The things that Lee Scratch Perry and Jammies and Tubby and all of these people that they have done has influenced modern production now, and we see what Max Martin and these people are doing, and the production methods that they're using are so similar to what we have spawned in Jamaica. So it's a case of, it's a symbiotic kind of relationship, where we are seeing and we're working with each other. And the fact is, I mean, to be honest, Jamaican music in its infancy did not have the kind of support I thought from what we now call the urban community, because Bob Marley, for example, wasn't really an urban favorite. He was more somebody who was more attractive and appealing to the rock audience and so on. So yeah, I mean, we've had that, and one of the things that we need to look at is the common features of our music and the points of collaboration and potential collaboration. Yes, there have been these alliances with Jamaican music and hip hop and R&B, so on and so forth. But there can be more. And then, some of the times the experiments with the hybrids, the coming together of hip hop and Jamaican music, they didn't go too well because the audience maybe didn't have a full appreciation of what was going on. And so, you remember when some of our artists were signed to these labels and, they were almost jettisoned almost unceremoniously because it was thought that we weren't being radio friendly, it wasn't happening, and so on and so forth. So that has been a challenge. But the fact is, we need to emphasize that it is a cross current, and it's not a one-way street, and that we both benefit from this kind of association, and we should continue to benefit, and we should continue to stress this kind of association.
Well, that's why I'm so pleased that you invited me to be part of this program, Clyde, and to honor Cindy and Clive Campbell's contribution to this thing. Because people like them haven't always gotten the shine they should have over the years, to be honest.
Yes, and that's the truth. I mean, and that's why we're so happy that they're getting the kind of recognition which they deserve in this 50th year. Because as you said, it might not have always been like that, but, you hear the people coming out and I am very happy because at one stage I was like a lone voice in the wilderness. I remember when Entertainment Weekly, I think it was, at the turn of the millennium, the century, they had, it was Entertainment Weekly, and they had, the 100 greatest moments in rock, in the history of rock, and in it, they had Jimmy Cliff. The two things they had, which I saw that were clearly Jamaican, was at about number 6, I think it was, that Kool Herc created hip hop, and Jimmy Cliff and The Harder They Come in 1972 came to New York, and they thought that was a big thing because it introduced reggae to America in a real way. But the thing was, what struck me was that there was no mention at the time that Kool Herc was a Jamaican. And it was very disappointing to me. And I'd go to, other Jamaicans and I'd say, that hip hop in America was really started by a Jamaican. And many Jamaicans would look at me kind of blank and say, really? And, because it just didn't seem likely that a Jamaican would have gone to America and created this major music form. Because remember now, I mean, people have identified hip hop as black music, but it is mainstream pop music crossover. I mean, because kids in the burbs are reacting, and I mean, it is, I mean, the most popular music form today. I mean, and it's not confined to any race or group, or it's all over the world. I mean, you go to South Africa, you have versions of hip hop. You go to Palestine, you have versions of it, and anywhere you go, there are different forms of it, and that is what is so important. But we also, as Jamaicans, need to insert the fact that we have been part of that evolution, not to claim it exclusively for ourselves, but to say we have been a part of that process.
No doubt about it. And Cindy, I remember in our last conversation, with Jeff Chang and Davey D, they were trying so hard to get your brother to tell what records he would play at the party, and he likes to keep those selections close to the vest, which I understand. But it was universal music. I definitely get the impression it was everything from, Latin, African, rock and roll, movie soundtracks, TV soundtracks. It was not just one sound that was coming through on Cool Herb's turntables.
Right. He was always his thing was he looks for the drum and the bass, the percussion. Those are the things that he looked for, and those are the things that he played at the party, and that's what made it different. That's where the b-boys were able. Came created from that, because they would break off that part of it. And people would say that 2 turntables and a mic, but it's two turntables, no headphones, and a mic. Because Herb didn't have the luxury of having a headphone. He had to know his records. He had to know the grooves on that record. He had to pay attention to know when to pick it up and put it on where it just flowed together. So, that was very creative. People say, "Oh, yeah, 2 turntables and a mic," and I, like when I speak as a historian, because I was there and I know the process. We have the formula. We have the formula to make this work. So nobody.
No, it was a science.
I'm not afraid of anybody taking this away from us. I have the formula of to make a successful event. So,
yeah.
And I teach people these things. It's 2 turntables, no headphones, and a mic. So try and do that. When you can do that, you're a DJ. When you can play on vinyl, you're a DJ. You play on vinyl and you can play on the Serato. It's just like when you ever take a driving test in Jamaica, you have to know how to do the drive a stick shift. They can put you on that stick. You got to know the drive stick shift as well as just right. Am I right or wrong?
That's correct, Cindy. I mean, and sometimes we say, I mean, but we're not going to drive a stick shift, but you have to know how to drive that.
That's right. And now you can be a good driver. You can. And my father, God rest his soul, he taught me how to drive a stick shift. And he didn't tell me the main part of it too. Because one day I'm driving his little common gear, and I came to a stoplight on a hill. I'll tell you this little story. And all of a sudden, now the light changed, and I tried to drive off like I was a regular car, and the car started rolling back.
Oh,
and I put the brakes on, and I waited and waited until there was no car behind me, and the light changed, and I just put it in gear and drove off. When I got home that night, I said, "Daddy," I explained to him what happened. I said, "Then why didn't you tell me?" He said, "Yeah, because I knew you would learn how to do it. Ride the clutch. Just ride the clutch and the brakes." And I figured it out.
Did you squeal the tires on that hill? Were the tires smoking?
What?
Did you squeal the tires? Did you
were the tires smoking when you came off the hill?
No. I stopped on the hill. I couldn't move, so I put the hazard light on. And then I waited. No car behind me. I let the car just roll down, neutral. And then I just started and I put it in gear and I, came home. And if you learn how to drive a clutch, you're good, But people don't think that's important, but it is.
Right.
As a historian, as one who has looked at the movement of hip hop so closely, Rob, over the years, give me your impression of some of the more important moments you would consider in the history of hip hop. Just I mean, I know I'm putting you on the spot there, but
sure, yeah. I mean, we only have a short time, but I think, that era that Cindy and Clive participated in.
Oh, that's the birth of it. Yes.
Yeah, and that's before people are making records, right?
Yeah.
So, that's what we would call, some people say old school, or, the Park Jam era. And then you have people starting to make records.
Like the Sugar Hill Gang and so on.
Yeah, but let's not forget there were other people.
Other people who were making records before Sugar Hill. Yes.
Yeah, there's a Jamaican gentleman named Bullwacky who set up a studio in the Bronx also, and he made reggae records, but he also made some early rap records. Before Sugar Hill Gang. They weren't very famous.
No, they weren't famous.
Popular,
that's correct. Yes.
But he was doing it, and so people start making records. Sugar Hill Gang breaks through on the radio, and people say, "Oh, what is this?" And that's when I see my teacher directed a Sugar Hill Gang video in study hall. I'm watching this, like, what is this?
Right.
Stuff?
That was about. I mean, that was. Because Sugar Hill
came 80s, early 80s.
Sugar Hill came 79, so 80s,
yeah,
so
early 80s,
right.
And then they say the turning point after that period is Run DMC. That was sort of like everything after Run DMC, everything before Run DMC is considered old school. And then once they came out, it just went to another level, and they were dressed different. They were dressed like people on the block dressed, and they were rapping about my Adidas, and pretty soon they had a sneaker deal.
The bling.
They had the gold chains, but it was black tracksuits and the white shell toe sneakers, and so that was a big moment. And then I guess you can jump from them to, man, it's too much. But obviously through the 90s, when Vibe was started in 1992. People like, Snoop Dogg was our first cover. That was Dr. Dre bringing that West Coast
funk.
Oh,
the NWA.
NWA is a little earlier.
Yeah.
Rob, before that, remember it's Eazy-E, who's the one who really broke the West Coast out to us,
right.
And he was the one. And I remember when I first saw Eazy-E, and I'm like, wow, and I heard this new sound, this new style, with the lumber jackets and things like that, and that's how it kept going. And then you had when Master P came out, from the South, the dirty South, and then you had then you had Lil Wayne, and Manny Fresh and those guys, Baby, coming out. So that's the beauty of it, how it continued with the different style, the like you said, it spawned something, it's just great. I remember going back, like you said, when we first heard the Sugar Hill Gang on the radio, we knew Hank. We grew up in the neighborhood, and we knew what was going on. And when we first heard him on the radio, we were like, what is Hank doing on the radio? He's not really a rapper. But I mean, because we didn't know anything about that, but he was there mastering his craft and rapping, and doing that. So we were there like, wow, this was like a moment, like you're saying, a breaking moment, Rob, of when it started.
And when you mentioned the South, you mentioned, of course, Master P and different, Southern rap. We got to mention another Jamaican, a son of a Jamaican dad, Luther Campbell from 2 Live Crew, and that whole Miami bass movement.
Right, from 2 Live Crew, right. Luke Campbell, from 2 Live Crew.
And everybody talks about they're so X-rated and whatever, but that was Jamaican sound system in a jam in Miami.
Absolutely.
It's this conversation goes on and on and on, and you know, we can't tell the whole story in a few minutes, but I think the important thing is that let's also, while we're flying over history, let's also remember that hip hop is, yes, the most popular music in the world. If there's anything that's challenging it, it might be reggaeton.
Yes, reggaeton. Yeah, reggaeton
out of Jamaica.
Out of Jamaica.
Right, and then there's a sound called Afrobeats, where again, influence of dancehall and hip hop through Africa. So this sound system culture that we're talking about is really responsible for pretty much all of popular music today. I mean, I'm not going to leave out rock and roll and country and all these other genres and pop, but without the sound system from Jamaica, which, you know, Cindy and Clyde put on the map in America in a different format, you don't get most of the pop culture of the planet, you know, and that's just a fact.
Because another thing too, sometimes they don't know where the Afrobeat and the reggae, they don't know where to put it, and they just put it in hip hop. What
That's
category do you put it in? They put it in hip hop.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, you know, Sean Paul, you know, gotta shout out Sean Paul for putting dancehall at the top of the pop charts in America and around the world. But after many years of selling millions of records for, you know, major label, there came a time he parted ways from his label, you know, and he's independent now. He's got his Dirty Rock Productions out of Jamaica, still doing great things. But I had a conversation once with the employee of that major label, and I was like, why did y'all stop working with Sean Paul? Like, who decided, you know? And this guy said, well, you know, Sean was my favorite reggaeton artist, but, you know. And I said, reggaeton? You work for the label and you think Sean Paul's a reggaeton artist? He would slap you if you said that to him. Like, that is just disrespectful. So, you know,
they don't know.
Right. There's a lot of confusion and misinformation.
And I can understand the presumption why some people would think Sean might be a reggaeton artist if you don't know what.
But how many Jamaican flags does he have to wave? How many times does he, you know?
Because that's how people categorize people loosely, you know. So
yeah, there's a lot of confusion.
It's a lot of confusion. But yeah, Sean has done.
You know who you have to big up to? You have to big up Shaggy.
Yeah,
you have to big up Shaggy. I mean, he's
yes.
I mean, he's
carried the flag. He has carried the flag. He has carried the flag. You've got
carry the flag in here.
No, the thing is that this has been a collective effort. You know, it's a collective effort, and there are many people who have, you know, made their contributions in different ways, and they have built on the legacy that Cindy and Clive have established, and that's the good thing, you know. You know, when you see somebody like Swiss Beats and you hear him say, you know, we should just put a couple $1 million and just give it to Kool Herc. You know, it's just fabulous when you hear these things, because when you look and you see the empire, you know, Rock Nation and, you know, all of these empires, and to think that it started in a rec room on Sedgwick Avenue, and that traces its roots to Jamaica, which would perhaps find some link to something that happened in America earlier on, because we were listening to some of those rhythm and blues and rock, you know, I mean, rock and roll and, you know, that kind of thing, you know. So it's a kind of thing that it goes around and it comes around, and, you know, it's such a beautiful situation that, you know, we can be here to give thanks for this opportunity, the celebration of 50 years of this most important music genre and cultural force, because, you know, hip hop is not just a music form. It has been a very important cultural force. I mean, people have used it to channel their discontent sometimes, their concerns. It has been political. We can't discount that. You know, It is an important political force. It has been controversial, but it has been most important. And I want to thank you, Cindy, the First Lady of Hip Hop. I want to thank you, Rob Kenner, for being here for us to discuss this most important subject. And Rob and Cindy, well, I mean, there's going to be more celebration in the States, and I think it's going to culminate here in Jamaica. We're not going to say too much about it, but I know that's where you're going or you're headed. So we look forward to all that's going to take place with hip hop this year, and we also want to see, I mean, and looking forward to greater collaboration between hip hop and reggae for this 50th year and beyond. And I think it's going to be a great time. I'm enjoying it. You know, I feel vindicated. Thank you so much, Cindy. Thank you so much, Rob.
You're welcome, Clyde. Thank you. And I like what you said, 50 years and beyond.
And beyond, and beyond. Musically speaking, thank you so much.
Okay.
Want to thank JB.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Want to thank JB, Jeff Brown. Want to thank Abby Williams. And I'm Clyde Mckenzie. We'll see you next week on Musically Speaking. Thank you.